the fifth session of the Journalists and Writers Foundation's Media and Journalism webinars. This is an annual program organized under the umbrella of the Journalists and Writers Foundation, and the mission here is to introduce expert speakers, media professionals with years of experience with our alumni members of media and journalism sector from different parts of the world to share their hands-on experiences. And this year we started the webinars with three wonderful training sessions delivered by experts on risk assessment and managing boundaries for journalists covering conflict. We then spoke on ensuring trust on media, given the pollution of an increasing range of disinformation, misinformation trends across the world. We spent another training on how to establish a solid professional foundation, and while building up on this journey, how do we uphold media ethics? And in our last session, we hosted two wonderful experts from America and Mali, and the topic was how to leverage artificial intelligence and latest technologies in the evolving landscape of media and human rights reporting. And usually in the very last session of the Media and Journalism webinars, we host representatives of different media organizations, press organizations advocating for the rights of journalists and media professionals in different parts of the world. And we speak on organizational resources, as well as hearing from the backgrounds of representatives who are with us now in the room as well. We'll be hearing from Poonam Sharma. She's the board secretary of the National Press Club, Washington, D.C. board member, and Wahida Faizi, who is the gender coordinator of the International Media Support. She's an Afghan journalist now based in Denmark. So I'll give the floor first to Poonam, as I noticed she's a board member at National Press Club based in Washington, D.C., also founder and editor of the Global Strat View. During her career, she has worked in media and communications in Australia, India, Uganda, Canada, and now based in Washington. Sharma holds a postgraduate diploma in journalism and a Bachelor of Arts degree from Delhi University, where she majored in English, history, and political science. So Poonam, over to you. I would love if you could please introduce us the National Press Club and your journalism work at Global Strat View as well, or any other professional skills, tips, or any insights on the current status of press and journalists. We would love to hear. Over to you.
Great. Thank you, Jamre and Mehmet, and to Journalists and Writers Foundation for having me on this webinar. It's an honor to be here and engage with so many talented people from across the globe, and to share the space with the courageous female journalist, Wahida. Thank you so much. So the National Press Club has quite a history. It's known as the place where news happens. It was established in 1908 and serves as a professional and social hub for journalists, as well as communication professionals and influential figures in the media industry. The club has a rich history of hosting prominent speakers, including US presidents, international leaders, public figures, as well. Throughout its history, it's been at the forefront of major news events, and it continues to be a significant part of the media landscape here, upholding the values of journalist integrity and freedom, which are so dear to all of us. So a little bit about how the Press Club works. We have a very democratic process. We have elections every year to elect a president, club officers, and a board of governors that manages the club's operations. The club has several committees as well, but it's a staunch advocate for press freedom. We actively engage in a variety of activities and initiatives aimed at promoting and protecting the rights of journalists, not just in the United States, but globally, recognizing the fundamental role of a free press in democracy. the club has dedicated significant resources and efforts to support this cause. We have a very active press freedom committee, which is central to the club's efforts, which works on raising awareness about the threats to press freedom, advocating for the rights of journalists, and responding to incidents where journalists are harassed, imprisoned, or killed. The committee organizes campaigns, we write letters to government officials, and we collaborate with international organizations as well to exert pressures on regimes that suppress media freedom. Part of our programming is that we honor journalists who have shown exceptional courage and commitment to press freedom through various awards. Notably, the John Aubuchon Press Freedom Award is given annually to individuals or groups, both domestically and internationally, who have made significant contributions in the fight for press freedom. To give an example, Maria Ressa, the Filipino-American journalist and the editor-in-chief of Rappler, was one of our John Aubuchon Press Freedom awardees. So a little bit more about the programming. The Press Club hosts several events aimed at educating the public and advocating for press freedom. These include panel discussions, lectures, and symposiums with journalists, activists, and policymakers. Topics offered cover current threats to press freedom, strategies for protecting journalists, the importance of a free press and fostering transparency and accountability, and also to what resources journalists and communicators can use to make their work easier. So we do a lot of professional development events in that sphere as well. We actively support journalists in distress through various initiatives. And the National Press Club's Journalism Institute, which is the club's nonprofit arm, provides training, resources, and legal support to journalists facing threats or harassment. We do work with other organizations as well, such as the Committee to Protect Journalists and Reporters Without Borders. We disseminate information about press freedom issues to a broader audience. And, we're deeply committed to the cause of press freedom through our dedicated committee, awards, advocacy events, and support initiatives. If you all have been following what the Press Club does, you'll see that we have campaigns for the release of Austin Tice, a journalist who's been imprisoned in Syria for more than 11 years. We've been working closely with the Wall Street Journal on Evan Gershkovich, who's detained in Russia, as well as Asu Kurmasheva. We also held several events when the Shireen Abu Akleh, the Palestinian American reporter who was killed in Israel. So that's some of the work that we do. And happy to take any questions. I just wanted to add that my journalism career started at the age of 11 when I lived in Yemen at the time with my parents, and our schools started a newspaper called the Jambia Journal. And just a short anecdote that I want to share with you that really impacted my journalism career. From a very early age, we received an anonymous letter from someone one of the students at school who said that who said that they didn't really like our newspaper, and as 11 and 12-year-olds, we were very upset. And we said, well, we're not going to publish that. And our teacher took us aside and explained to us, look, that's not the right approach. You need to engage with your audience and ask the person, why don't you like the Jambia Journal, right? So that was a very important lesson that's been instilled in me from the beginning, that there are always people who have differing opinions, but it's important to engage with them and understand them rather than just blocking them off. And I think that's a issue that we can all identify with. So happy to take any questions.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Poonam. Knowing that you have limited time with us, so I'll just pass it over to Mehmet to share his reflections. Then we can keep on with the rest of the session.
Thank you so much, Poonam, for sharing your initial remarks. and we truly appreciate it. And as we were at the National Press Club, which we organized an event remembering the Turkish journalists, persecuted Turkish journalists and Turkish journalists in exile event at the National Press Club on May 3rd. And you have so many programs, and you mentioned some of them, and that really the National Press Club is committed to upholding freedom of speech and the free flow of information. And you are also holding political leaders accountable for their policy and actions. And I would like to ask, just maybe, 3 questions at once, but you can answer them, as you wish. How do you uphold press freedom in the US and globally? And how do you assist journalists in exile and those journalists in exile in the US? And the third one, what are some of the resources that you can share with our audience? And the last one is we know that in every country there are national press club, and so do you recommend our journalists in our audience to become a member of their national press club, and how they can use this as a tool to uphold press freedom in their respective countries?
Okay, so one at a time. So how do we hold regimes or leaders accountable? Our programming, for example, we have several newsmakers events or headliners events where we invite leaders. Sometimes they're international leaders who are here visiting Washington, D.C., sometimes with lawmakers, politicians in the United States, and other public figures. And, we have a program with them. Newsmakers is more like sort of a press conference style, where we'll ask them about issues of the day, and then all press club members and credentialed journalists are welcome to attend, right? So we offer opportunities for reporters and editors to put forward their questions to people who affect policy, right? So that's one way that we do it. As for upholding press freedom, as I mentioned, the press club has several campaigns. We take the issue of press freedom very seriously. Repression of the press anywhere. The Press Freedom Committee, along with the presidents of the National Press Club and the National Press Club's Journalism Institute, they're very active. We address every issue of press freedom that comes our way, because that's what we stand for, and that's at the core of what the National Press Club does. In terms of resources, I would like you to point you to the National Press Club Journalism Institute's website, because they do a lot of programming. Most of it is virtual, but it provides good training for journalists and media professionals. And yes, I will drop the link for that, but it's free, and I hope you all will take advantage of it. And I'm sorry, I think there's a question that I missed there, Mehmet.
Yes, and also the National Press Club is also helping journalists in exile. So if you can just elaborate more on that.
Right. So that's in collaboration between the National Press Club's Press Freedom Committee and the National Press Club's Journalism Institute. So we've had sessions with journalists in exile who have come to the US. A lot of the time it's just engaging with them, listening to them, as journalists in exile, like what are their most critical needs right now, and what can we help support you with? And sometimes that's, offering memberships to them. Also assisting them with finding work, or, you know, but there's other issues that they deal with as newcomers to the United States, you know, like finding affordable housing, or, you know, maybe finding pro bono legal representation, or maybe just like introductions to associations or other individuals who can help them in their journey. So that's primarily what we do. We are building on that. We've had a couple of sessions, one this year, one was late last year. But if, you know, someone needs support, like Mehmet and Jamre, you can all, you know, just drop me a note. I'm also going to put my email in the chat if someone wants to reach out to me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Poonam. As you noted, this is a long-lasting platform for journalists. So we try our best to connect our alumni with the expert speakers that we host. And thank you so much for sharing your insights on the working areas of the National Press Club. It's one of the primary media institutes based in Washington, D.C., standing for the rights of, as you shared, imprisoned journalists wrongfully. Many are under detention in different parts of the world, but you also spoke on the importance of upholding regimes accountable for their arbitrary detentions or killings of journalists, because impunity is something that we should be strongly working against, as such crimes are being washed away without any trials or everything. This really serves as an incentive as well for other regimes to replicate such arbitrary measures in different parts of the world, particularly in the ones that are struggling with press freedom. So thank you so much. We were delighted to have you.
Yeah,
Sure.
I just wanted to add one more thing. So Mehmet, you spoke about you know, press associations in other parts of the world. So I just dropped in the link for the National Press Club. We do have a page where you can see we have reciprocal relationships with press clubs in other countries and cities as well. And speaking from a personal experience, in being a member of the National Press Club, I think it's important for journalists to find community and support. And that quite often comes in the form of an association, but it's not limited to that. That's why I put my email in there. You know, please feel free to approach me on anything. And yeah, that's thank you for having me.
And thank you, Poonam, because that was important, because as we do human rights advocacy in different parts of the world, and one of the ways to do it is to reach out to the National Human Rights Institute, which all countries have these human rights institutes within the country, and it's important to work on some of the human rights violations or press freedom violations in the country using these human rights institutions, but at the same time becoming a member of these national press clubs. So there are resources and tools that we can all use to uphold political leaders accountable. So thank you so much for sharing this resource as well.
Thank you. And like I said, you know, there's strength and support in community, and that's what we all of us, you know, around the world, you know, we're collectively, we're strong.
Absolutely. And, solidarity among journalists is important.
Right. All right. Thank you, guys. I do have to leave now, but
Sure.
Feel free to reach out. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Of course, that was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Well, now we will hear similar best practices from another institution, International Media Support, based in Denmark, and we have IMS gender coordinator, Wahida Faizi, with us. Wahida is a political journalist and the gender coordinator of the International Media Support based in Denmark. She's an Afghan media professional with a bachelor's degree in political science. Just like Poonam, she started her journalism career at the very early age of 9th grade back in 2010. And from 2016 to 21, Faiza served as the gender coordinator of the Afghan Journalist Safety Committee and received recognition as the best reporter, along with a golden medal from the former president of Afghanistan. Following the Taliban's takeover in the country, Wahida Faizi relocated to Denmark, and currently she works as the gender coordinator of this prestigious institution and as a journalist for the Danish newspaper Politiken. Well, Wahida, thank you so much for sharing this platform with us, and we will now hear from you on the resources of international media support, but I know that you will have a particular focus on its Afghanistan department. And as we all know, Afghanistan is currently being ruled by one of the most relentless gender apartheid regimes in the world. It is a system in which particularly women and girls are systematically sidelined, deprived to practice their fundamental human rights, cannot access basic resources, and not allowed to participate in decision-making mechanisms. So that is impacting women's rights, girls' empowerment in variety of topics. But we will have our focus today on journalists and human rights defenders. So over to you. Let's first hear from the introduction of international media support as an organization, but later I'll open the platform for questions and any comments from the audience as well. And I would love to hear your journey these days as an Afghan journalist reporting from Exile as well. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Jamila. Thank you, everyone, for having me today. I would like to start from my journey, if it's possible, just shortly.
Of course.
I remember the day I left Afghanistan. I was just taught that it's the end of my professional journey. As lots of journalists, when they left their countries, they will do something else in the new countries. Like I was just thought that maybe I will become a cleaner, maybe I will become like a waiter in restaurants. Like I was taught very different things. On the first days in refugee camp, and the first weeks, I can say, I was crying all the time. I thought that, okay, now I'm safe, but there is no that Wahida Faizi, which I was in Afghanistan. But luckily, I got a scholarship, I can say, internship in one of the biggest newspaper in Denmark, in Politiken. They just came. I had an interview with them as a journalist, a refugee. Then when they published my story, they just asked me to work for them for 3 months without any salary. I was like, that was very biggest day for me. I was just thought that, okay, my professional is still with me and I can carry this whenever I want to go. Now it's almost 3 years, which I'm working for this newspaper for Politiken. Luckily, I got the same job as I had it in Afghanistan with IMS, International Media Support. They offered me to work with them as a gender advisor for Afghanistan program, which I still am working with both of them, with IMS and with Politiken. Why I'm sharing these stories? Because most of the time, people are getting very hopeless when they changing their countries, when they're forced to leave their countries. So that's why I was like, I can say that never being like hopeless. If the door is closed, the window will be open. Like this is like now, whenever I become hopeless, I just remember that I need to always remember that when the door is closed, at least the window is open. So right now, of course, the language is the biggest problem. We have a Danish colleagues here, maybe she's agree with me because the Danish language is very difficult language, and I learned English here because when I left Afghanistan, my English was zero, worse than now. But I learned English in these 3 years in Denmark. So I'm now in the step of to build new life, new home, new countries. So yeah, I'm in the very early stage of like learning language, but the rest of the thing is okay. So now I would like to start with IMS. As you mentioned before, Jamila, I'm not like expert on all IMS in institutional, but I can say what I learned about IMS. IMS is very big, but I will more focus on Afghanistan program. So IMS International Media Support was founded in 2001, and it's the biggest international organization which is supporting media in Nordic countries. We are working more than 30 countries. We are working more with press freedom, good journalism, and safety for journalism. We are basically working on those countries which is affected by conflict, political conflict, armed conflict, whatever conflict is happening on that countries. We are more working and focusing on that countries. So now I'm focusing more on Afghanistan program. IMS was started officially activity in Afghanistan in 2008. We are not registered in Afghanistan. We are working through our partner organization, which is Afghan Journalist Safety Committee. Luckily, still they are active. Still they are working. Our main donor for Afghanistan program is SIDA, EU, DANIDA, and some campaign funds. Right now we are working for Afghanistan program from inside of Afghanistan and also outside of Afghanistan. We have only one partner inside of Afghanistan, which we are working on safety for journalism. But in general, we have 5 partners, which the rest of them are outside of Afghanistan. IMS Afghanistan program is working with partner in Turkey, in the US, in Canada, in France, and of course in Afghanistan, inside of Afghanistan. Basically, we are supporting 3 pills, which is public interest content and media, safety for journalism, and alliance building and advocacy. All our programs are very strongly focused on gender. We are not supporting any program which is not including genders. So this is like our very main strategy. Whatever we do, we need to focus on gender first. As I mentioned earlier, I would like to also mention a little bit on Afghanistan and Afghan journalist situation inside of Afghanistan. Before the collapse, I mean, in 2021, we had 1,400 women journalists and media workers in Afghanistan. But unfortunately, like right now, we have only 500 women journalists active inside of Afghanistan. Women journalists are only allowed to work in 24 provinces, and the rest 10 provinces, unfortunately, they are not allowed to work officially. They are facing different restrictions from the de facto. They are not allowed to show their face when they are broadcasting. In some provinces, even their voice is forbidden. They are not allowed to broadcast by their voice. Like in Helmand provinces, which is one of the most restrictive province for women, they are not allowed to broadcast by their voice. But luckily, we have a radio station. The name of the radio is Muska. 10 women journalists are still working there. I had an interview with them. I asked them how it's possible that you're not allowed to broadcast by your voice, but still you're working. One of them told me that, yes, Wahida, because we are not allowed officially, but we are doing everything. We are making report, we are making program, we are doing edit, everything. But when we want to broadcast by our voice, then we are just hand over to a man. Like I can say they started from A almost until Z. The Z should be someone else, like if you understand what I'm saying. And like in Host and Paktia provinces, when and the radio, I mean, when you are getting a call from a male audience, you are not allowed to take even the male audience call if you are a female journalist and you are broadcasting a program. The dress code is like the biggest problem. In Kabul, one of my colleagues told me that when she is broadcasting program on TV, even in the middle of the program, Taliban is calling them that why your hijab is not fully covered, why your hair was like showing, why your socks was very not so long. So they are asking many questions. Unfortunately, most of them are working without salary in most of the media. Most of them are working only like $10 per month. Maybe that's very shocking to those who are listening this program. When I asked that how it's possible you're working only $10 per month, even it's not covering your transport cost, then she told me that this is a big time for Afghan journalists or Afghan women to showing their resistance as deposit of what Taliban is making like restrictions day by day. That's why she wants to just show up, to show to people that yes, as I do right now, it's a resistance that what Taliban is asking for. But of course, we have more challenges. I can also mention some positive things about the current situation. Right now, our partner organization inside of Afghanistan, they just reestablished 12 strong women advocacy groups in 12 provinces. Basically, they are meeting with de facto, with the international organization, with media owner to advocate for their rights. Just a few weeks ago, one of the Exile media was announced that they are asking for 2 people inside of Afghanistan, 2 female journalists to work for them. And they just reported that they just got 100 CV in 3 days. The other organization were just announced that they have a 3 days or 4 days training workshop. It wasn't like after that they will just hire them as a I'm not quite sure it was fellowship or it was without salary. I think they just got 1,600 application in 4 days, which is all of them were female journalists. It shows that even in a very dark days, these women wants to work. These women wants to show up. This is very big things. Like to me, that was like a very good and positive news that even if they are not getting salary, if they are not allowed to go and work like before, if they are not allowed to go with men in the same program, but still they want to go and work. So and also, and the last thing that I want to mention, the media number has also decreased almost to half media now. We had 600 media outlets, but now it's half. Day by day, different provinces, they don't have any like special policy. The Taliban is reacting like very different. The Talib that they are in Kabul, the Talib that it's in Mazar, it's very different Talib. It's not the same Talib. It's not the same rule for all media and media workers. Only in this 1 year, from May 2023 until now, 64 journalists arrested by the Taliban without any crime. So I think that's it. Thank you so much. I'm happy to take question.
Thank you so much, Wahida. I'm really in awe of the progress that you accomplished over the last couple of years. being relocated to another country, fleeing a brutal regime is a journey by itself already. But not only that, you were able to overcome the barriers that you faced along the way. It's a great accomplishment that you're back to doing your own profession in a different country, as you noted, with a language that might be a little bit challenging in learning, but I'm sure you're doing just fine in that as well. Some reflections I have, and I'll start with maybe one question. Then I see couple of comments already in the chat, so I would love if my colleagues also join us in the discussion. So you have noted quite many examples on how women journalists in Afghanistan is quite passionate to keep up with their work, even in the most restrictive working environments, with the most brutal obstacles that is posed by the Taliban regime, gender restrictions. But we know that women journalists continue to make long-lasting change in different parts of the world. Many are wrongly imprisoned. Majority are now living in exile, just like yourself, to live a free and dignified life out of the legislations of Taliban. Poonam just mentioned Nobel Peace Laureate Maria Ressa, one of the prominent journalists who elaborated on the influence of social media over the political discourse, harassment, and how states are abusing online presence and twisting the agenda towards their own benefits, polarizing societies into different ends. And her courageous work was recognized with a Nobel Peace Prize. We know of the Iranian journalists Nilufar Hamedi, Elaleh Mohammadi, who broke the news of the brutal killing of Mahsa Amini in Iran, who led to a long-lasting protest, women life freedom movement. CPJ recently noted that the war in Gaza, in fact, marked the highest number of journalists being killed in an armed conflict. So we see these sorts of political crisis, geopolitical conflicts in different parts of the world, and the risks, threats against journalists, women journalists particularly, are increasing more than ever. And thank you so much for putting a light on some of the specific, I would call absurd practices that women journalists in Afghanistan are being forced to combat just because they're doing their profession, journalism. We at the Journalists and Writers Foundation also, we're working on providing inputs to different UN treaty bodies, as well as the offices of special rapporteurs, answering their call to provide civil society input. And we recently did one submission to the office special rapporteur on freedom of expression. We did surveys with journalists living in exile in different parts of the world. And there was one question, and I'll start my first question from this perspective. One of the questions we had in the survey was that if colleagues were informed on the gender-related barriers that women journalists are encountering, what are these barriers, and if they know of any organizations, particular practices in empowering women journalists to combat such violations, either on social media platforms or any risks against their physical, mental health, and etc. And interestingly, I would say we did not really receive insightful answers in terms of the gender-related barriers that women journalists are encountering. But on the other side of the coin, we know that organizations, for example, like Coalition for Women Journalists in Media, they are particularly reporting on the harassment, legal harassment, mental harassment that women journalists are encountering. So my first question to you is that how do you think the international solidarity is helping out one women journalists, but you can also answer this from a general perspective. How does solidarity make a difference for Afghan journalists, or as an exiled journalist? What do you think on the input or impact that journalists or human rights organizations like Journalists and Writers Foundation or National Press Club are doing to change the working standards or of the journalists reporting from oppressive regimes, or what do you think on the global movements advocating for the rights of the journalists reporting from oppressive countries?
Thank you so much, Jamila. As I mentioned earlier, Afghanistan is not on the top anymore. No one is talking about Afghanistan, Afghan media anymore like before. IM's big responsibility is that to just go and show up and raise this awareness, what's going on in Afghanistan. And I am that person who is doing this advocacy in IMS. Of course, this is very important to be alliance building between those organizations who are still interested on what's going on in Afghanistan. As you mentioned earlier, I was the only Afghan journalist on Media World News Congress, which I had just 5 minutes to speak about Afghanistan. It was like a huge conference with thousands of panels, but Afghanistan was not in any this agenda. Like, that's why I was there to speak about the same thing that I told you today, and I share my experience. I share what's going on in Afghanistan. After that, I got back a lot of feedback. I got emails that, yeah, how they can still support female journalists from Afghanistan, from inside of Afghanistan and outside of Afghanistan. When we are talking about support, it's not only money, right? It's not only financial support. It's advocacy, which is very important. Those who are saying that advocacy is not getting any efforts or result, I'm not so agree with them. It's our responsibility. It's like big organizations like IMS, like other organization who is supporting in general press freedom. They should work together to have a result, but maybe it's all conflict. That's what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Ukraine and Iran. Afghanistan is forgotten. No one is talking about Afghanistan. That's why I think somehow we are on the new phase of fighting, I can say, against of these silence. That's why how it's impact Afghan journalists to be like more working together in solidarity that you mentioned before. Unfortunately, we have a gap here. Those journalists who left Afghanistan, they are not so working closely as they should do. We don't have such a union that we had it in Afghanistan. That's why it's very difficult to bring them together, to have one voice, to say one thing. It's a huge gap right now, Jamila. We need to fill this gap.
And I think the status of silence that you underlined is sort of legitimizing and normalizing Taliban's regime as well. Because surely there are so many eruptions of new conflicts around the world, but this does not justify the silence over what's going on in Afghanistan. Millions of girls, not only journalism, millions of girls and young women are deprived of their basic right to access quality education. By itself is a quite big and horrific agenda that should be all in front of us, that we should all join resources, solidarity efforts to raise awareness. Because recently I have engaged with another Afghan journalist, and she told me that particularly these last couple of months, Taliban is organizing and putting extra funds to increase their presence online. There are so many how do you say, bot accounts on Twitter or Instagram. Yes. As soon as you start a campaign, Yes,
Yeah.
paid accounts by the state. As soon as you start a campaign or movement on social media platforms, which is the only remaining really arena that we can to some extent freely share our opinion and support one another on this global platform. But as soon as you ignite a movement in Twitter, these both accounts start fighting back to the tweets of Afghan journalists or human rights defenders. So it's really important that we continue to highlight what's going on in Afghanistan. And I see that there are quite many comments, so I want to start opening the platform for others to join. Glorious is asking something similar that you have already spoken of, but I would be grateful if she's available to join us to share her comment and question. Glorious, are you available to unmute yourself, join us?
Hi.
Hello.
Yes, I've already spoken about the need for advocacy, but you have a very important perspective as somebody who has been Afghan and is still connected to those who are living in Afghanistan. So, from a place of someone who has heard a lot about what is going on there and knows that there's a need for collaboration across board as an everyday journalist, what would you suggest I do to help the situation with female Afghan journalists on the ground in Afghanistan?
I really didn't get your question. Sorry.
Oh,
Sure,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Is it better now? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was asking what everyday journalists like me could do to help the situation for female Afghan journalists in Afghanistan. Yes, you spoke about advocacy and how we can also speak and talk to the issues that are happening on the ground. But what other things do you find that has worked that we can also do?
Yeah, of course. First thing, advocacy, as I mentioned before. Second, we need to cover the reality of Afghanistan. We need to cover the stories of Afghanistan. Like, there is no attention like before. The media is not covering Afghanistan like anymore like before. I can see those journalists who are still traveling in Afghanistan, most of them are this YouTuber. They are just trying to show the other face of Afghanistan, because if they want to write articles very critical about Taliban, they are not allowed to leave Afghanistan. They have been in jail. That's why it's very important to engage with those local journalists that they are still in Afghanistan. They can provide, they can send you whatever you are working on. Then you can write it without any name, without mentioning any name from inside of Afghanistan. The only way that we can work and we can cover the Afghanistan stories, it's like that, because I'm still working for Afghanistan. This is also somehow, it's a part of advocacy to cover the reality of Afghanistan, towards know that what's going on inside of Afghanistan, to not normalize what's going on in Afghanistan. We are facing day by day with new restrictions from Taliban. They just announced it yesterday that the all salary for women that they're working in different sections with different positions, they should have the same salary, which is, I think, only 500 krona, which is almost, I think, $50 per month. Just because you're a woman, you need to get the same salary. It doesn't matter if you're a journalist, if you're a doctor, if you're an engineer, if you're a teacher. Is that not something big to cover? Of course it is.
Yeah, sure. So you expect journalists in different parts of the world to source information, get the stories from Afghan journalists, and without putting them into any danger or disclosing their information, personal information, highlighting those stories. I think this is a very impactful and important strategy, and we already have so many journalists and freelancers in the room whom I'm pretty sure will be in touch with you later on as well. Thank you so much, Glorious, for this question and your answer. Wahida, I see 3 hands up. I'll first give the floor to Mark, and then Lena and Ahmad.
I think Lena and Ahmad were before me. I mean, I could say the question anyway. But I think Wahida actually answered my question. So I mean, I'll just reiterate it quickly. I resonate with you with regards to a topic that isn't being picked up, you know, by journalists all over the globe. I guess what are you doing at the moment to kind of reach out in that sense? Okay, yes, like this is one way in which you're telling journalists to report on Afghanistan. But what do you think is the main issue? Is this just not something people want to read or look at the moment?
You mean what is the main issue that Afghanistan?
That's not popular in the news at the moment.
Because of the new conflict.
Yeah.
Gaza, Ukraine, Iran, and also the way that journalists were traveling in Afghanistan. Now they are not allowed to go like before. Their visa is rejected. Like most of those journalists who worked very critical stories, their visa is rejected now. I'm working in an organization who is providing safety for journalists inside of Afghanistan still. We got many calls every day that their visa is rejected. And those journalists, those media who are still working from inside of Afghanistan, they are not free anymore. If they are saying something against of the regime, they will be just arrested from newsroom. The only reason why Afghanistan is not at the top, it's the only reason.
Yeah. So you'd need help from international journalists, right, to bring this as well. That's the main. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question and insights. Lena?
Hi, Wahida. Thank you so much for sharing everything so far. It's been really interesting. And my question is a follow-up to Cemre's about the kind of the effect of international help on changing the scene in Afghanistan. How do you feel that you report your stories differently now that you have a different audience? Now that you're reporting for an audience that is not, you know, you're not reporting to people that can influence policy change or who are necessarily directly impacted. Do you encounter any frustrations or opportunities there?
To be honest, Lena, it's very difficult to write about Afghanistan to Danish audience because I'm writing in English, then of course the Politiken is only Danish language. We don't have English. When I want to write something about Afghanistan, I'm very picky. I need to pick up something who should influence the Danish society and the Danish policymakers. But unfortunately, Denmark is not pay attention anymore to Afghanistan in big level and political level. But of course, in humanitarian level, yeah, they are still focusing. They are still funding to support journalists inside of Afghanistan, which is the good thing that they are still doing this. They are still active via like different organizations who is working and providing humanitarian assistance like DACA. That's why most of the time I'm trying to write something on economy situation, on those who are jobless now, to create maybe new program from Denmark that they are still active in Afghanistan, about children, because the Save the Children is still active in Afghanistan. That's why, of course, whenever I write stories about Afghanistan in Denmark, it's impactful. I can see the result. That's why I keep going on writing. Otherwise, of course, the politicians should tell me that, Wahida, you should just stop because we don't pay attention anymore because there is no result. But no, that's why I keep going and I'm happy to continue. The only reason is I can see the result. Whenever I meet Danish people, Danish politicians, and conferences, in meetings, they are mentioning the only source that they are getting from Afghanistan and information about Afghanistan. It's IMS on journalism situation, and also in general, it's Politiken. I am very well connected with those journalists who are still traveling to inside of Afghanistan from Denmark, from the Nordic countries. That's why we are like very closely working to make these changes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I understand the frustration well of having to always tie international issues to something domestic in order to have it be interesting to your
Yeah.
audience.
And you know, Danish audiences is very picky as well, right?
Yeah,
They are
extremely
like,
picky.
yeah. Thank you, Lina.
Thank you.
Hello,
Yeah,
I'm
yes.
Fiston from Congo, and my question was about the journalists who are under threat or are attacked by government. Sometime when they ask for support from those international media support organization, they ask if those attacks are linked to their journalist work. So I want to know how they identify those attacks, because in some country you see that journalists have reported some abuse from politicians, and inside to attack him on his work, government or some service quit. I don't know if they quit, but they put those journalists in some trap. They can accuse them that they have harassment against girls, or they have so some they accuse them some thing which is not linked to their work. How those international organizations help the journalists who are in the situation like those. So the thing they are accused are not linked to their work, but they found another accusation in the society saying that he had a problem with a minor girl, or he do something like this and he go on trial, and sometimes they are jailed for those kind of accusation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a very difficult question to answer, but I'm speaking from my personal experience. I worked 5 years with an organization which we provided safety for journalists. And that time, Afghanistan situation was like not stable. It was before the Taliban was came in Afghanistan. That's why we got like many fake cases, which they just link it to their work. I can understand why, because the situation was very bad. They just wanted to leave Afghanistan to get documents from us that yes, this girl or this man is in a high threat from the Taliban, or from that's why she or he needs to leave Afghanistan. But at the same time, right now, that's why Afghan journalists were very like impacted by these fake cases. They made like very different fake cases. They sent to international organization. They funded. Afterwards, they just got it that yes, it was a fake news. Right now, it's a fake case. Right now, even those who are really in real threat, international organization is not pay attention like before.
Mm-hmm.
It's a true, because they are affected by these fake cases. But because we are still working inside of Afghanistan, our partner are still active in Afghanistan, and they have experienced like almost 20 years of safety, and they have colleagues employee in different provinces. I can say we are covering whole Afghanistan. That's why it's very easy to find from different sources, is that related to his or her a professional career, or is that something like a personal problem with someone? So
Yeah.
they have mechanism. I'm sure they can like fact checking, and they can just report that is that true or is that fake cases. Yeah. So, but in
Okay.
general, yeah, I can say that Afghan journalists were very impacted by these fake cases, and still, whenever I'm asking to international organization for relocation and for help to these journalists who are still in Afghanistan, they say that no, we just stopped it after we got like several fake cases.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jimra, I have a question, if I may.
Yes, please go ahead.
Wahida, exile journalists face numerous challenges, even though they leave their country and they go to a different country. And one of the challenges is transnational repression. And this transnational repression could be abduction, intimidation, harassment, sometimes assassination. And so I have two questions. Number one is, like, have you faced any intimidation or any kind of like harassment by any proxies of the Taliban regime in Denmark or in other countries? Like, do you like fear traveling to different countries? This is number one. Number two, when exile journalists, they go to safe countries, they use social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube to share true information to inform their people, and in your case in Afghanistan. So are there any restrictions for social media in Afghanistan, like any censorship for social media, so they kind of like prevent you sharing information to the Afghan people?
Thank you so much. I'm not quite sure if I can share with details my fear in Denmark. Denmark is a very safe country, especially Copenhagen is very safe for women. But yes, I'm afraid. I got a threat even here. Whenever I work and I speak about Afghan women's situation in different platforms and different stages, I'm getting messages from Taliban still. And why I'm worrying? Because my family, they are still in Afghanistan. That's why if they were not in Afghanistan, if my colleague were not in Afghanistan, my voice will be like more loud, and I can say that whatever I had planned to do, I cannot do it anymore like before, just because still those people who are thinking like ideology with Taliban, we have in Europe, unfortunately. We have some of them in Denmark, but not so serious. But yeah, I'm getting messages from them that why I'm writing against of the Islamic regime in Afghanistan. Or the other thing, they say that it's very good that a school is closed because a school was not good place for women in Afghanistan. They were using drugs, they were using like alcohol, which is not true. In Afghanistan is a very, very close countries. Nothing is allowed to use drugs or something, even not in a school, I can say. It's very loudly that at least not in a school. That's why that was very surprisable when I got these type of messages from, I can say, Afghan people who are based in Europe. In Denmark, in safest place for women in the world, when I got these messages, I'm sure those who are working in a conflict zones, it doesn't matter if they left Afghanistan, still they're working from Pakistan, from Iran, they have been attacked. In Turkey, they cannot work as they were in Afghanistan. They are afraid. They have fears. We have a compound in Turkey as well that they are working for safety of journalists in Istanbul. Maybe you could just write it, Kaitrana Dialogue. Jamila, you can just find. We have a small compound for I'm getting the same messages from them as well, that they are afraid. They are not feel safe as they were in Afghanistan. Sometimes, maybe it's very, very surprisable for you, audience. Sometimes I feel that the freedom of speech that I had it in Afghanistan, I don't have it anymore here. Just because of my safety. Just because my family is still in Afghanistan, my colleagues are still in Afghanistan. So yeah, I'm afraid. And the second question about social media, as far as I understand, there is no any restrictions, but because of their safety, they are not sharing anything against of the Taliban regime. Otherwise, they have been like arrested, or I don't know, many things will happen by the Taliban. And they are paying to many users that they are using Twitter, and they are searching who is writing against of the Taliban regime, and they're just in jail. That's why there is no any restriction technically to just remove your content or something. But yeah, because it's very controlling by the Taliban regime, they are afraid to post anything until they are inside of Afghanistan. I know many journalists that they are just making videos, material, everything. Whenever they left Afghanistan, they are posting. This is also my approach. Even if I'm in the safest places in Europe, and whenever I'm traveling, I'm not posting anything until I'm leaving. When I left, I'm posting.
You're back to homeland now in Denmark.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very common feeling that other journalists or dissident human rights defenders are encountering, as well as I'm in touch with a variety of professionals from different ethnicities living now in exile and still continuing their work to do advocacy and human rights reporting. It's a very common obstacles that they also share. I'm pretty sure many of us in this room are also feeling the same, that even though we are presumably living now in safer conditions, which is also questionable, as you shared, proxies or extremists living in different parts of the world are still causing you stressful situations, but we are always worried about the ones, loved ones back in our homelands, who still are living on daily basis and encountering these restrictive measurements. So thank you so much for highlighting those. And there are many cases, just like you underlined the case of Turkey, where yes, Afghans, human rights defenders, journalists are escaping the regime of Taliban in Afghanistan, but Turkey is listed as the 5th country now in this year's CPJ reporting as the number as the country with one of the highest number of imprisoned journalists. So we still question the integrity of journalistic work in countries which are presumably considered more free, but not in fact. So thank you so much for highlighting these. I'll take last 2 questions from Areka and Yahya Ahmed. I think those are important questions as well. Areka, if you're available to unmute, please join the discussion. If not, I can read it out.
Yes, I have a question that can we be really safe by never reporting or writing by our real name?
It's depending on which country you are, and are you talking about Afghanistan or are you talking about your country? I think the best
I'm
thing
asking
is to write,
generally.
but yeah, sorry, I didn't understand. From which country?
I'm from Pakistan, but I'm asking generally.
Okay, and generally, I used to work 4 years without my real name, but I was covering these stories. That's good to write, to keep informed people by like choosing name, something else. I was Hila Faizi 4 years. Then I become my own identity, Wahida Faizi. because I was feel unsafe on that time. So write about whatever you want to write, but without your real name. That is the only thing that most of journalists can do.
Sure, but can they track us by some other means, for example, our social media or anything else, our email from some websites, etc.?
I think you need to really have a discussion with a technical guy who should assist you, whatever tools that you need to keep you safe, to just tell you that, okay, you never share your stories on your real social media. Just keep away from, I never share my real stories like whenever I'm publishing to Politica, and it's only for my Danish readers. If I post it on my social media, then the Taliban will say that, okay, she's still writing against of us. So don't share on your real social media, or whatever you make a new profile without any picture or without any your real name on your real email. Change it. If you really want to keep informed people, you can use it from different methods.
Just to add, Wahida, I mean, because this is an important question, you know, the countries, the government can track you if you're in the country with your IP address from your computer. So I think if you are willing to use a different name and write critical, you know, content from the country, including like for Pakistan, let's say, if the government is very disturbed by your posts or by your, you know, writing, then they can track you from your IP address from your computer. They can track you. So for this, I think, as Wahida advised, you really need, you know, like some technical assistance from an organization or someone who really knows. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Thank
why in
you so much.
Afghanistan, I never have been like facing these things to track. I was just using fake names. That's why it's very important to have a safety advisor to advise you which tools you need to use. I'm sure in Pakistan there are many safety advisor who can just advise you which tools you need to use to keep you safe. There are many
Yes,
tools, yeah.
yes, and I think our social media is not as much restricted as in Afghanistan or China or in Korea as well. But somehow, when we post something, our post got deleted by Meta or maybe our own country. I don't know, but sometimes my accounts got blocked and without any notice. That's why I asked, but I believe our social media is not as much restricted yet.
I think it's the meta policy, especially if you're publishing a picture or video of kids who get like injured, who have like bloods, these things. I think it's some meta restrictions that whenever you are posting, they're just deleting automatically.
Yes, even
Yeah.
my tweets, I tweet from New York. There are many times that I get restrictions on, particularly on Twitter, where the impression numbers are significantly decreasing, or I see red flags on my profile that the content of my tweets may be restricted in some parts of the world. So these are challenging situations, but as both Mehmet and Wahida noted, you definitely need some further technical advice on this. And I know that the Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, they have great digital toolkits available on their website. So please go check it out. And I think if you have any further like specific questions, Aber, the trainer that we hosted, can't recall her last name, but I can also share her email address with you, as she is also very kind and open to provide further insights on some of the measures that you can take to ensure your digital safety. How can we stop the attacks and arrests of journalists by armed groups using all modern technology? I don't know, Wahida, if you have any insights on this, or maybe if your organization is providing any technical resources.
I think most of the safety tools we are not sharing until they are asking from our partner organization. If I know from which country she or he is asking this question, please reach out to my email. I can just connecting you with that partner on that countries. Then you will get some sources or some tools.
All right, so I'll just add a bit to the Rika's question when she asked, can we write with another name or the fake name? I remember in our journalism class, our sir said the security agencies somehow track you through your IP address, or somehow they track you. And when they track you and they see you reporting with a fake name, they take you, and in the records, you don't exist. So it's a very unsafe for you to report with the fake name. This is what I have learned in my BS journalism degree. My question to Wahida, first of all, thank you so much, Wahida, for this productive session. My question to you is that, are you satisfied with the West's help to the journalists in Afghanistan? Because we somehow see two faces of West. Like I still see Al Jazeera producing content from Afghanistan, but Al Jazeera is banned in Israel and West supports it. So I still see some independent journalism platforms performing in Afghanistan. You as a journalist, are you satisfied with the West help in Afghanistan?
Okay, very difficult question, because I'm on that position where it's West country, we are still supporting journalists inside of Afghanistan. I can say we are the only biggest organization who are still strongly focused on Afghan journalists, especially female journalists inside of Afghanistan. If I say I'm not happy with that, that would be like not a good answer. Of course, as I can understand from the different angles that they are providing safety, they were very closely our partner in this 20 years on building this democracy. I can say yes, but the way that they left suddenly everything in Afghanistan, they were not focusing anymore to Afghanistan. Yeah, I'm not happy with that. But from Denmark and the Nordic countries, still they are the biggest donor in Afghanistan, only on the media and human rights situation. So yeah, of course, I'm happy and I'm satisfied with that.
All right, thank you.
I think it's fair to say that we have more room to grow and increase our efforts, but there are surely many successful state best practices as well in this area. Wahida, thank you so much. This was a fantastic session. We in fact, just to inform the audience, we very briefly met at one of the CSW, Commission on the Status of Women, panel discussions that I organized at United Nations. She was kind enough to attend our panel, stood in solidarity with the rest of the women media professionals, journalists, and we just carried on our conversation later on. Thank you so much, Wahida. That was great to have you. We are all, as I mentioned, in awe of your courageous efforts to continue your credible journalism, human rights reporting on Afghanistan. And my last takeaway, I think, then I'll give the floor to you for your final remarks. But rather than, I think, prioritizing one conflict over the other, I think we should all boost our efforts to close this gap of awareness on the countries which are overshadowed by the contemporary hot topics. And that responsibility really falls on our shoulders, everybody in the room, by either supporting Afghan journalists like yourself on social media platforms. This could be financial support over Patreon, or if journalists have any other credible links to support their existence in different parts of the world. Any form of solidarity, I'm pretty sure, will work towards the empowerment of journalists living in exile. So Wahida, over to you for your closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Jamila. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks for having me today. When I got your email, I thought that, okay, that's how network is working, because we just met shortly, and the day we met, I left New York from that event. So I was like very hurry.
The last shot you
Yes.
had.
Yeah. It was really good discussion. Happy to see all these talented journalists. Thank you for all your good questions. I hope you get your answer. Thank you, Muhammad. I think we had one Afghan on the audience as well, Ahmad Rashad.
Yes, we have a couple Afghan participants. Thank you. Thank you so much, Wahida. And as this is our last session at the Media and Journalism webinars, I'll turn to Mehmet for his reflections, and we have some reminders to keep you updated as
Yeah.
participants of this cohort.
Yeah, and Jamila, sorry,
Yes.
Samira. I tried to
That's
just
fine.
put the IMS website on the chat, but I don't know why I couldn't. Can you just please?
That's okay. I'll share it again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure. Of course, my pleasure. Mehmet?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jemre, and thank you, Wahida, for being with us. And I think this cohort of Media and Journalism webinars 2024 has been very productive with a lot of questions, comments, and input from all over the world. And the numbers for applicants and participants has increased as well. I would like to just summarize a couple of things and also inform you about the journalism project. Currently, we have three friends who are interested in the journalism project. And these are Lena Hunter from Denmark, Shital Martin Joseph from United Kingdom, and Mark Galdes from Malta. So we have three, people who are interested. And if any of you are interested in this international journalism project, so what happens is that, so you will just email me about what topic that you are interested in. And then later on, we will have a discussion about your project. And then later on, you will start working on your project, your news article, and we will assign you a mentor. It could be someone from this year's, speakers, or it could be from previous years, who has knowledge and experience in the topic that you will be writing about. Then later on, it's our, again, within our previous speakers and current speakers, we will try to publish this article on a newspaper, possibly, if not on a news outlet, online news portals, and also publish it on our both blogs, which is the JWF blog and also JWF Academy blog. So it has visibility. So this is, I think, a good opportunity. And I know that many of you are already journalists, you are writing articles, but this is another opportunity to reach out to a different audience. So I highly recommend you. So this will be my last call to remind you about this journalism project. And just to, to show you, for one last time. Okay, here, okay. So this is our website for the JWF Academy. Okay, and then let me just open up the jwf.org. Okay, so we have two different websites. So for the organization, this is our website. And if you go to our blog, okay, and you can see previous, articles written by our participants from previous years. Just to let you know, for example, there was an article written by, by a participant from Bangladesh. So she not only wrote an article, it was published at a newspaper in South Africa, a national newspaper, but she also became a speaker at one of the CSW events. So basically, you are not just writing an article, but if your article is relevant to different events throughout the year, we can nominate you as a speaker. So you can share your article or your findings with the rest of the world. So again, I think this is a good way to, to work on your, professional development as well. Okay, so my second reminder, do you have any questions about this journalism project, or is it clear? And if you go to blog, journalism project and you will find it. Okay. Okay, number 2, reminder. Okay, so we have requested your portrait photo and also your short bio because we would like to promote you guys. So this is from 2022 and then we have 2023 as well. So please send us a nice portrait photo and your short bio so we can publish your photo and your bio on our website. So this is a way to promote you guys as well. But for those, if you have any concerns and if you don't want to, that's fine as well. Okay, I think Glorious, you have a question? You can unmute yourself.
Yes. So, are we to send a pitch or just a topic of interest concerning the project?
It is, it is something that you're interested in. It could be about a global concern, or it could be about a topic at the national level. Okay, so basically, okay, participants will select topics of interest on press freedom, freedom of speech and expression, human rights, relation to cultural peace, human rights, and sustainable development. But it is not limited to these. So if you have a specific interest on, let's say, a different topic, it could be specific to your country, then, share those ideas with us, with me. It could be, one topic, or it could be 2 different topics or 3 different topics. And then we will, have a discussion on that topic, okay? So the first thing to do, just if you have an idea, share with me, and we will have a discussion, and we will, decide on the topic together.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the second thing is your portrait photo and short biography. Okay, number 3, again, this event will happen again next year, and you can find our previous speakers over here. So they are our experts and speakers. We keep in touch with them. So if you need any help in the future, you let us know. We can put you in touch with them as well. Okay, so we also kindly request testimonials from you guys. Okay, so if we have a few testimonials from the cohort of 2024, we would appreciate it. It doesn't have to be long. It could be, just a few lines or just one paragraph. It's testimonial of your experience, so we can put it on our website as well. And my other reminder is this. Okay, so for general use, everybody can go to our website and they can just, let's say, go to session 1 and they can just learn about it. Okay, so they can just learn about the speaker, the subtopics and everything. But general users will not have access to the video. They will not have access to the resources. For those, let's say if you go to Go courses, it's only for those who sign up can, go back and see, the details. For example, since I signed up, so you will have access to, the courses for 2024, and you will have access to previous years as well. So after, today, we will work on this. So maybe hopefully in 1 week or 2 weeks, you will have, we will edit the videos and we'll post them on over here on this website. It's going to be just something like this. Let's say when you click on this from last year, and let's see what comes up. So as you can see, so this is from last year. So we will watch the video, whole video, if you want to rewatch it again, and you can do that. And we will have a short description, like a summary of the event. And at the end, we will provide all the resources shared by the speakers with you. So, I mean, for example, this one, they did not share any resources, but for those who shared either a PowerPoint presentation or any links, so we will put them over here. So you can always come back and, take a look at it. And let me see another reminder. Jemre, just 1 second. Let me just put this down. All right. So another one is this, okay, and then, all right. So in order to provide you more assistance, we have a global network of 52 organizations from 27 different countries. So it's most likely that we have an organization that we have been working on different projects, not limited to journalism, but different UN events like Commission on the Status of Women or UN General Assembly, Sustainable Development Goals, and many other projects. So we would like to introduce you to our global partners, and if you would like to, then you can meet them, and there might be other opportunities. They might be organizing an event. Maybe they might, ask if you would like to write a piece about it, or if you would like to, like maybe record it, or any other opportunities. We never know. So we would like to do that for those whom we have a global partner in your respective countries. So these are some of the reminders I have, Cemre. So I'll give it over to you.
Thank you so much, Mehmet. I know we have passed our time, but as this is the last session, if anybody in the room would like to share any comments, feedbacks, anything, it's open mic time. Maybe for the next couple of minutes, we can share some reflections. Yes. Lena, please go ahead.
Hi, I don't really have anything specific. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the opportunity and for sharing your knowledge. And Cemre and Mehmet, whenever you speak, I'm impressed by the recall you have to kind of bring back and summarize major points that we've touched on, and to tie it to really important stuff that each of us as journalists experience in our everyday, connecting the kind of these big global things that may seem out of reach to emerging young journalists, connecting that to real practical tools that we can use in our work. So thank you both for making such a great program.
Thank you so much. You've been great in providing insightful questions and comments as well. So we likewise appreciate your inputs too. Thank you so much. Angela?
Hello, everyone. My name is Angela. I am from Kenya, and I'm so glad and happy to have been in this program. And I've also had some great insights from various journalists, and especially those that are facing problems from where they come from, and also reporting on different issues, which I know will be of great impact and help to my work. And I also look forward to also sharing this in my work, and also continue writing also for the website too. I hope this also continues, and it's a good thing, and I'm happy to have joined. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this wonderful testimony. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Mona?
Hello, hi, I hope you are doing well. This is Mona from Pakistan. I have been attending the sessions, and being an academia person, someone who does research on how journalists report different humanitarian crises in the world, specifically regarding the Palestine and what is happening in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Syria. We Pakistani women have very limited opportunities to be part of something so big, and to be here to attend this session, I hope that I can contribute a little bit better to my students in the Department of Mass Communication, University of Karachi. And I really hope that next year I may be able to join this sessions, or maybe my students would. And I would love to stay connected with everyone who have been here and everyone who has taken the sessions, and especially to you for, conducting the sessions so beautifully and such insightful sessions. So thanks to you and everyone who have attended them, and thank you for choosing me to be part of this.
Of course, our pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Mona, please make a reach out to us if you need any resources, or if you want to host any expert speakers to address your class, or if we can support your work in any capacity. We'll continue to remain at your disposal.
I would be honored, and I would love to do that for my kids. So I'll connect with you directly, and we can plan something together, inshallah.
Sure. Thank you so much. And the WhatsApp chat will remain open. For anybody who would like to remain connected, please do stay. I occasionally share some UN opportunities or fellowships, or if I see any relevant events, I'll continue posting in the group too. So Jean-Paul, I see your hand.
Thank you so much for accepting me in this group. As a sexual health advisor in the field of HIV/AIDS and other disease, I'm very happy to learn some background of the journalist. So this will be useful for me during my field work as a health mediator, so for community here in France. So I'm very happy, and I would love to let you know that you should not stop it. You should plan something for us next time again. So because we need to learn more about communication. Communication is something very magic, very, very sensitive. So we need it. We need some secret about the communication if we want to succeed in what we are doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate this heartfelt comment. Mujtaba?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, just you, Alka, and Mehmet just wanted to say thank you. All the sessions are very informative, and you hosted them very well, very wonderfully, and so politely. Enjoyed all of them. And thank you so much for all these productive sessions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mujtaba. I highly invite everybody to subscribe to Journalist Emeritus Foundation at our website. If Mehmet is available to type our organization's website, that would be great. There's a subscription button at the very below of the website. Do that. We announce our programs on our social media platforms. I'm quite active in LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter as well. Would love to keep in touch with everybody in the room. So thank you so much. Let's not take this as the last goodbye, last session, but continue remaining in touch, dedicated to support one another's work. And as I noted, I would love to support any of your work or endeavors in your respective countries as well. So I really look forward to continuing our communication on virtual means and collaborating with everybody for any future occasions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, one last thing, Cemre, before we close, I'm just sharing our social media account, but please, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on our website. We have all this information, and I'm just putting it on the chat. So thank you so much, and look forward to being in touch with you throughout the year. And we have the cohort of 2020, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So we always, keep in touch with you guys and stay in touch with us. Share any good news, bad news, anything. We have to be in solidarity together. So we hope to, to work with you again in the future. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your days. Bye-bye.